church. And also, before I begin, I would also like to thank those two beautiful ladies for giving us a wonderful message in song. Good morning, everyone. Happy Sabbath. Our theme for the Sabbath this morning is all about family. And today, we will study from one of the most interesting and the most popular families in the Bible. Who among you here loves to watch telenovelas? Please raise your hands. No one? Does no one watch it? Did you know that the Bible has so many stories that are even more interesting and complicated than your favorite FPJ's Al Provinciano? The story we are about to study today tells about love, jealousy, betrayal, deceit, conspiracy, suffering, forgiveness, and eventually redemption. Isn't all of these the stuff really great stories are made of? Today we will study and learn from the family of Jacob. This story is found in Genesis chapters 37 to 50. Very briefly, let us review the story of Jacob's family and learn valuable lessons that we can apply to our own families. Begin. Let's start. Jacob's one true love was Rachel. Who was his true love again? Rachel. That's right. However, before he was allowed to marry Rachel, he was forced to marry Rachel's older sister, Leah. Eventually, he was also convinced by his two wives to marry their handmaids, Bilhah and Zilpah. That means he has 4 wives in total. Who among you here have 4 wives? Please raise your hands. Good riddance. According to Patriarchs and Prophets, pages 209 and 210, the results of polygamy were manifest in the household. This terrible evil tends to dry up the very springs of love, and its influence weakens the most sacred ties. The jealousy of the several mothers had embittered the family relation. The children had grown contentious and impatient of control, and the father's life was darkened with anxiety and grief. God intended man to only have one wife. Genesis 2 verse 22 says, "Then the Lord God made the woman from the rib he had taken out of the man, and he brought her to the man." Did you know that man has 12 pairs of ribs? 24 ribs in total. If God meant for man to have more than one wife, he could have taken out more ribs and fashioned more wives for him. But God, in his infinite wisdom, only made one Eve for Adam. This is lesson number 1. A man should only have one wife. Do you agree?
Yes.
But Jacob had 4 wives, and this was just the beginning of his problems. From all of his 4 wives, Jacob had 12 sons and 1 daughter. Jacob had a very big family, but among his children, he had a favorite son. And who was his favorite son? That's right, Joseph was his favorite. One day, Jacob made Joseph a beautiful coat out of many colors. And when the brothers saw that their father loved Joseph more than any of them, they began to hate him and even refused to talk to him nicely. What about you? Would you be happy if your parents favored one of your sisters or brothers over you? think there will be happiness in a family where treatment isn't fair? This is lesson number 2. Do not have favoritisms in your family. Joseph, however, was a very special young man. God had special plans for him, and God gave him dreams that gave him hints of the future. In the first dream, he saw himself and his brothers binding sheaves of grain. His sheaf suddenly stood upright, while the sheaves of his brothers gathered around his and bowed to it. And in the second dream, he saw the sun, the moon, and 11 stars bowed down before him. When he shared his dreams with his brothers, they became even more angry with him because they thought that Joseph wanted to rule over them and make them bow to him. Even his father asked him if he, his mother, and brothers were going to bow to him. Is this scenario the same in your family? When your child tells you his dreams and ambitions, do you support these ambitions, or do you criticize them and discourage him from following his dreams? Or when your sibling seems to be doing better than you, do you envy them and resent that they are more successful than you are? According to Philippians 2 verse 3 to 4, please read with me. Do nothing from rivalry or conceit, but in humility count others more significant than yourselves. Let each of you look not only to his own interests, but also to the interests of others. And Ephesians 4 verse 29 tells us, do not let any unwholesome talk come out of your mouths, but only what is helpful for building others up according to their needs, that may benefit for those who listen. This is lesson number 3. Let us be supportive in our siblings' dreams and not be jealous of their success. And so his brothers continued to envy and hate Joseph. And when Jacob asked Joseph to check on his brothers, they found an opportunity to kill him. But eventually, Reuben, the firstborn, wanting to save him, was able to convince his brothers to just throw him in a pit and leave him there to starve. However, when the Ishmaelite caravan passed their way, they decided to just sell Joseph for 20 shekels of silver. They doomed Joseph to a lifetime of slavery. And so Joseph was sold into Egypt as a slave to Potiphar, one of Pharaoh's officials, the captain of the guard. This was the start of Joseph's problems. Can you imagine from being the favorite son in your family to suddenly being reduced into a slave? And even though Joseph tried to do his best to be trustworthy and hardworking, he was still falsely accused and unjustly put in prison. If you were in Joseph's place, would you still trust God even though he allowed all of these injustices to come? Surely, Joseph did not deserve any of these. But Joseph continued to trust God and to do his best in every task given to him. As the story goes, he met the Pharaoh's chief cupbearer and baker while in prison, and he was able to interpret both their dreams. And now, when it was the Pharaoh's turn to have dreams that no one could interpret, the cupbearer remembered Joseph, who interpreted his dream for him. And when the Pharaoh told Joseph his dreams, Joseph told the Pharaoh that God has revealed the meaning of his dreams. There is going to be 7 years of abundance, followed by 7 years of famine. He also told the Pharaoh that he should assign someone trustworthy and capable to oversee the collection and storage during the 7 years of abundance. This will be reserved for the 7 years of famine. The Pharaoh was so impressed with Joseph that he gave him this responsibility. From an imprisoned slave to be Egypt's second in command? Who could have imagined that? Jeremiah 29 verse 11 says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord. Plans to prosper you and not to harm you. Plans to give you hope and a future." And Romans 8 verse 28 tells us, "And we know that all things work together for good to them that love God, to them who are called according to His purpose." This is lesson number 4. When everything seems to be going wrong, trust God and remember, God is in control. Now when the famine came, Jacob sent all of his sons except for Benjamin to go to Egypt and to buy food. When Joseph saw them, he immediately recognized them as his brothers, but they did not recognize him. He tested them several times, and when he was satisfied that they already had changed, revealed himself to them. And Joseph forgave them for all the evil things they did to him. His brothers couldn't believe it. How can Joseph forgive them, even after everything they'd done to him? Genesis 45 verse 4 to 7 says, "Then Joseph said to his brothers, 'Come close to me.' And when they had done so, he said, 'I am your brother Joseph, the one that you sent to Egypt. And now don't be distressed and don't be angry with yourselves for selling me here, because it was to save lives that God had sent me ahead of you. For 2 years there has been famine in the land, and for the next 5 years there will not be plowing or reaping. But God had sent me ahead of you to preserve a remnant on earth, and to save your lives by a great deliverance.' He even gave them food and gifts, and made a way for them to stay in Goshen, the best part of Egypt." Now, if you were in Joseph's place, would you still forgive your brothers the same way he did? It would be very hard, right? With God's help, we can forgive. As Ephesians 4 verse 31 to 32 urges us to get rid of all bitterness, rage, and anger, brawling, and slander, along with every form of malice. Be kind and compassionate to one another, forgiving each other, just as Christ forgave you. This is lesson number 5. Let us be willing to forgive, just as Christ forgave us. Let us summarize all the lessons that we have learned from Jacob's family so far. 1. A man should only have one wife. 2. Do not have favoritism in your family. 3. Let us be supportive in our siblings' dreams and not be jealous of their success. 4. When everything seems to be going wrong, trust God and remember, God is in control. And 5. Let us be willing to forgive, just as Christ forgave us. From time to time, our families may have faced similar difficulties and challenges as the family of Jacob. Our parents may have marital problems, there may be jealousy or rivalry among us, or there could be a deep-seated hurt that's impossible to heal anymore. But let us not lose hope. Let us remember the story of the family of Jacob. And this is the final lesson. That God can reconcile Joseph and his brothers, bring about forgiveness, and turn from suffering and oppression into triumph and redemption, He can do the same for our families too. Psalms 103 verse 17 to 18 says, "But the loving kindness of the Lord is from everlasting to everlasting on those who fear Him, and His righteousness to children's children, to those who keep His covenant and remember to do His commandments." May God bless each of our families. This is my prayer. Good morning. Happy Sabbath. God bless you all. Have a great day.